So what we're going to have a look at in this video is how we expand grouping symbols with Surds. So there are a few things we need to keep in mind. There are the distributive laws, and we're going to use those as we expand or get rid of our grouping symbols. So our first law will be if we've got A multiplied by B plus C in brackets, then we just multiply our A by our B, and then our A by our C. So AB and AC. Our second one, when we've got a pair of brackets or grouping symbols multiplied together, some of you might think of it as the FOIL method. So we multiply our first terms together of the brackets. Then we multiply our outer terms, then our inner terms, and our last terms. So our first gives us AC, our outer gives us AD, our inner gives us BC, and our last gives us BD. So there's our second one. If we've got a pair of grouping symbols that are squared, we can use this result, which some of you may know, or we may treat it as this, where both brackets are the same, and we'll probably do that in most of them anyway. And the last one, if we've got the same terms but opposite signs, then we'll find that it'll be the first term squared and the second term squared, and then a difference. So this is known as a difference of two things squared. But again, it's probably safer with surds that we just expand them out using our FOIL method, just like we do with that part there. So let's get into some examples. So we'll put our distributive laws over here. We might refer to those as we go, and we're going to expand and simplify. So our first one, let's expand this. So we're multiplying root 3, we're multiplying it through by all of that. So all of that is being multiplied by the root 3. So what we'll do is we'll multiply our first term through. So root 3 times root 7 gives us the square root of 21. And then we'll multiply our second term by the root 3. So root 3 by negative root 2. So we're multiplying them together and we'll get negative root 6. Now just check to see if these simplify, and in this situation they don't. They're not like terms either, so we can't collect like terms. So there's our result. So another example, a little bit more difficult this time because we've got coefficients of the surds now. So 5 root 2 is multiplying all of that. So let's multiply our first term by the 5 root 2. So we're going to get 5 times 2 is 10, and root 2 times root 3 is root 6. So we're going to get 10 root 6. Now we'll multiply our second term by that 5 root 2. So again, 5 times 4 gives us the 20, and 2 times 5 gives us 10. So we'll get positive 20 root 10. And again, check to see if these parts of these surds simplify, which may change those, and then also check to see if these are like surds to see if we can simplify. And again, they don't. So let's look at a more difficult example here, where we're now using this distributive law. So again, some of you might call it the FOIL method. So we'll multiply our first terms together. So root 3 times 4 root 2 will give us 4 root 6. Then we'll multiply our outer terms together. So root 3 times negative 5 root 3 gives us negative 5 root 9. Then our inner terms here, we multiply those together. So 2 times 4 is 8, and the 5 times 2 is 10. So we're going 8 root 10. And then multiply our last terms together. So 2 times negative 5 is negative 10, and 5 times 3 is root 15. So negative 10 root 15. The next thing we need to do is to check to see if any of the terms simplify. First one doesn't. This one does, because the square root of 9 is 3. This doesn't, and this doesn't. So square root of 9 is 3, and 3 times 5 will give us 15. And then we look at these, any like terms in there? No. And a lot of the time we tend to write this last, especially when it's negative. Sometimes it's first. So just be careful that when you're checking your solutions that sometimes these are in a different order. So let's look at some more involved examples. So now we're looking at basically this one here, where they've got the same terms in the grouping symbols or the brackets and opposite signs in there. So I don't tend to worry so much about this. I can try and shorten it, but people make mistakes with surds. So let's do it using the FOIL method. So multiply the first together. Root 3 times root 3 is root 9. Then let's multiply our outers together. So root 3 times negative 4 root 2 is negative 4 root 6. Then our inners. So 4 root 2 times root 3 is 4 root 6. You'll notice that that one's negative and that one's positive. And then 4 root 2 times negative 4 root 2 is 16 root 4, and it's negative there. Now let's try and simplify some things together. Square root of 9 is 3. Now negative 4 root 6 and positive 4 root 6, they're exactly the same but opposite signs, so they'll disappear, they're 0. And negative 16 times the square root of 4. Square root of 4 is 2, so 2 times negative 16 is negative 32. And let's just simplify this together. 3 minus 32 is negative 29. So we've just done another example there. Got 2 more to go. So this one we're going to square that. Again, we could use this one here, but with surds, people tend to make mistakes. So let's write it in expanded form. And then we'll just use our FOIL method and multiply them out. So 2 times 5 root 3 is 10 root 3. And then, so 2 times 2 is 4. I missed the first ones. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 5 root 3 is 10 root 3. 5 root 3 times 2 is 10 root 3. And then 5 root 3 times 5 root 3 is 25 root 9. So there's the expansion multiplying by 2 and the expansion of multiplying by 5 root 3. Now let's collect some things together and simplify some. So this is 4 still. 10 root 3 plus 10 root 3 is 20 root 3. They're like surds. And square root of 9 is 3. 3 times 25 is 75. And again, we've got some like terms there that we can bring together. 4 plus 75 is 79. So 79 plus 20 root 3, or 20 root 3 plus 79. And let's do one last one, which is a bit different. This time, they're saying that this is the question, and we want to expand that out and get it into this form, so then we can work out what our A and B values are. So, to do this, let's start off with the left-hand side. And then we're going to use our FOIL method and expand that out, and we've been doing that now, so we'll just go straight to the expansion. But you can go back and have a look at what we've done so far in this video using our FOIL method to be able to do our expansion there. Let's simplify some parts. So root 9 is 3. 3 times 10 is 30. 5 root 3 minus 8 root 3, they're like surds. So 5 minus 8 is negative 3. And then I've got my minus 4 in the end. 30 take away 4 is 26. And then I've got negative 3 root 3. So 26 minus 3 root 3. But we're almost there. I'm not just after that answer. I now want to relate it to this. So what's the number in front there? Our constant term is 26. So A must be 26. And our B value, notice this is a plus B, and this is negative 3, so be careful with that. So our B value is negative 3. So let's write a statement now saying that we're equating our coefficients. So A is 26 and B is negative 3. So I hope you found that useful. So what you now need to do is practice and practice again and then practice some more. And the more you do that, the easier the expanding grouping symbols with surds will become. So I hope you found it useful.